Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Tickernomics YouTube channel. This video is going to be an introductory video for anyone out there who is interested in learning how scripting works on Tickernomics and wants to get started with writing their own scripts and does not have any sort of coding background. So this video is designed for the absolute beginners out there, the people that have never written a line of code in their lives and they just want to learn what scripting is all about and start, getting started in writing their own scripts. And I myself had no coding background, and really just after a couple hours of putting in some work and learning the various functions and how to work with variables and all the different things that you can do in scripting, I was able to begin writing my own scripts. So the whole purpose of this YouTube channel and the videos that I post on this channel is to take you guys behind the scenes and how I make the scripts that I post on my main channel, which is called Investing Sucks. And then also, hopefully, you can utilize those lessons and build your own scripts. And then once you've built your own scripts, you can share your own scripts on Tickernomics so that other people can use them and they can find value in them. And then ideally, over time, Tickernomics as a website just becomes very valuable to investors out there because of a large comprehensive library of scripts that people can log onto the website and they can use, and it can help them derive insights in their own investing and in looking at stocks on the stock market that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten. So that's really why I think scripting is super valuable. I think anyone who is really taking investing seriously should look into learning how to do scripting. It can save you a ton of time. And like I said, it can help you find things that you probably otherwise wouldn't have seen. But the key thing is saving time because as I've shown in my videos, I've built many, list generators or calculations for, a certain financial metric that I want to calculate for companies that companies don't calculate themselves. Or if I have, a list of companies that I'm particularly interested in that meet a certain set of criteria, I can program that into scripting. And then whenever I feel like looking at that list, I can just log on to the script, run it, and then there it is. And that really helps you, filter out companies, look for potential companies to start researching and investing in. And ideally, as you get more used to this, it can help you achieve better returns in your portfolio and find companies that are just good investments overall. So that's really the purpose behind scripting and why I think it's useful. Now, I did already post one video on this channel, and if you did watch that video and that video made sense to you and everything I talked about in that video made sense, then you probably don't need to watch this video as well. But if you did happen to watch that video and it was kind of confusing, or maybe you haven't watched that video yet, you're starting with this one, then this is a good place to start because we're going to go over pretty much the absolute beginner concepts on how to get started with scripting. So, so the first thing I want to show you is basically how to open a script, right? So super simple. We can see here we just have a blank screen. So this is what happens when you first log into Tickernomics. Make sure you're logged in. In the top right, you would want to see that it shouldn't say anonymous in the top right. It should say your username. So make sure your username is there. If you haven't created an account yet, then make an account. But to start with scripts, you're going to go to My Scripts here. So you just click this. And let me just zoom out a bit here. So we have my scripts here, and if you just logged in, then it's going to be blank here for you. I obviously have quite a few because I've made several scripts. But to create a script, you just go into the bottom right here and you select New, and then it'll create a new one. And then what you're going to see here is this box here, which is where you write the code. So all the functions, all the various things that you do will get written in here. I'll talk more about that later. But the first thing you want to do is name it. So there's the name and then there's the category here. So the name you can just name to whatever, and then the category, there's no like specific list or set of categories you have to pick from. The category you can just enter whatever, but you generally want to follow something that makes sense. Like if you're doing a financial metric, then you would want to call it a financial metric. If it's a list, you call it a list generator. Whatever the case may be, just whatever makes sense. So if you look when you initially create a script, you see these words here that come up, which is function run with the brackets and then end. So function run with the brackets signifies the start of a script, and then end obviously signifies the end of a script. So where you would type your actual code is, for the most part, kind of in the middle of the script, in between the function and run. And then if you were to click run, which we can see we have several buttons over here, one of which is save. I'd always recommend saving your scripts as you go along. You don't want to do a bunch of work on a script and then forget to save it, and then you exit the tab accidentally and then all your work is gone. Always make sure you're saving your scripts as you go. and then the run button here. So once we actually type something out, we'll run it. And then there's also the publish button. So the publish button, if you do click the publish button, like if I were to click this now, a description is going to come up where you'd enter a description of what that script does, what it's designed to do, what its purpose is, and then it will show up in public scripts here. So public scripts are scripts that every user of Tickernomics can see. So there's a list here, and the scripts are ranked in terms of how many likes that they've received. So the Altman Z-score is the most liked one with 7, 6 likes for Warren Buffett owner's earnings, etc. Then there's several that have 0 likes. So if people like your script, then ideally they'll like it. You can also comment on scripts. For example, if I click one, we can see, I could go here and add a comment. For example, if I have a question about it, or if I want to leave a note and tell the creator of the script whether I liked it or how they made it, then you could do that on here. But going back to here, so there's a few buttons. There's the new one, which just creates a new script, delete. So if you want to delete the script, I wouldn't recommend pressing this button for now though. And then also along here, you'll see several of these templates. So these are all, we'll talk more about those later if we're just getting started now, but these are all kind of for future reference where it's just kind of a shortcut to enter, code so that you don't have to type it out. You can just click that. So let's start with something super basic. So the most basic function is PrintLn, which is print line, which literally just prints text. So I'm typing it in the middle here because remember, function run signifies the start of a script and then end is the end. And if I were to click run, the script will get read by the script reader, which reads the code that you've typed out, and that code tells the script reader what to do, and then it performs that task. So if I were to just do hello, and a quick note, whenever you're entering text, you have to put it in brackets. That's how the script reader knows that you're referring to a string or text. So if I say I want a script that just generates the word hello, then I do println and then in brackets, quotation marks, the word hello, and then close the brackets. And that's pretty much it. So if I were to run this, it's going to take me to the log, which will show that it's currently initializing. And now the script has run, and we can see here, there's this line here, which is script output, which is just the word hello. That's all we wanted it to do. And that's pretty much it. So there's all this other items up here, which is just kind of general information about the script that was run. So it's kind of giving you a step-by-step process in terms of what was happening along with the time it was happening. So, compiler, it was queued, the script was run, the script run script, test, because test was the name of the script. And then it says, compiling, done compiling, script run, this number for user 124, which I'm user 124, and then script output, hello, and then that's it. And then, system response finished running. So this is kind of, the meat and potatoes. That's what you're looking at there. So that's pretty much all you do if you just want to do the most simple script, right? So this already tells you specifically one function you can do. Now let's say, take it one step further. Say, since this is mainly used for financial purposes, which we have, as you'll see later, many specialized functions in here, which are specifically for, pulling financial information so that you can do calculations with it. But let's say we want to define a variable, which is cash, and cash equals 100. Then we have another variable, which is investments, and investments equals 200, right? So we just defined two variables. Now, anyone who's taken any sort of, elementary school math course probably knows what variables are. You're basically just taking one thing and assigning it a value, and that value can vary. For example, I don't have to enter 100 here for cash. I can enter 200. I can enter any number I want. But for the purposes of this, we have cash equals 100, investments equals 200. And then we'll do the letter A equals cash plus investments. So we just defined two variables, cash, which equals 100, investments, which equals 200, and the letter A, which equals cash plus investments. Now, A is a variable. Now, because say we want to print, the result, which would just be cash plus investments, which would be 300 if everything was done correctly, right? So A is a variable, so we don't have to put it in quotations anymore. That's just if we wanted to add text. So println A. So print A. What is A? A is cash plus investments. Investments equals 200, cash equals 100. So if we run this, it should say 300, right? So we'll give it some time to initialize. And right here under script output, we can see the word 300. So that kind of took things up a notch as well. Now let's take things up a notch slightly more. Let's say you actually want to pull financial information, right? Because you're creating your own custom financial metric, or you just want to pull financial information. I'll first show you how to pull financial information for a particular company. So there's a specialized function. By the way, if you want to learn about all the functions that are available in the scripting here, just go to info right here at the top and then hit help, and you can read about all the functions as you go through here. And there's a lot of good information. Like these are all different functions, store by day, all these things, and they explain what they are. So if you want to read through that and learn about the functions, I'd recommend it. Or if you just want to watch my videos and learn about them that way, that's also possible. So let's say we want to, our variable is going to be Apple Cash. So AAPL, that's the ticker symbol for Apple, and we want to find their cash balance. So we're going to use a function called GetXBRLLatest. So we type that, and you've done it correctly when it turns purple. That's how you know that it's an actual function. So it's GetXBRLLatest. Here, I'll type it out in a way that makes a bit more sense. GetXBRLLatest. So what is XBRL? XBRL is Extensible Business Reporting Language, and it's basically how we initially got all the financial information on our website. And to quickly give you an idea of what XBRL actually is, which I showed this in the other video, but I'll show it again. So we'll go to the companies tab and let's just pick Apple stock here. If we go to details, we can select their SEC filings. Let's go to their most recent report, which is their 10K. And all this data that you see in the orange lines throughout here is XBRL tagged data. So initially how we got data onto the website was we had, basically a data reader that would, load, go through, get all this data, load it into a database, and then we'd present it on the website. And all this data, it's open source. We weren't paying anything for that data. We've since upgraded our data a bit. But let me go to financial statements and say if I were to, we'll go to the balance sheet. So here's the balance sheet, and we go to cash and cash equivalents, and I click this. We can see here, this is the tag. So the tag is, US GAAP, which is the accounting standard that Apple is complying with, and then colon, and then this explains what that tag is, which is just cash and cash equivalents. This is like the technical name for it. The fact is what the value is, so $23.6 billion. The period is as of this date, which is their year-end date, measure USD, and then a few other information there. So this is what an XBRL tag looks like, all these attributes here. And all these orange lines that you see throughout the document are all XBRL tagged data. So that's what XBRL means, just for some background there. So GetXBRLLatest is the latest XBRL value for a particular thing. So the next thing we have to do is open up brackets, because this is a function, so we're opening up brackets. And another quick tip, if you hover over the function, once it's turned purple, which means you've typed it out correctly, it'll give you an explanation as to what you actually have to type there to complete the function. So we can see get XBRL latest, and then it says string ticker, string segment, and string value name. So string ticker is, the ticker symbol, which if we're dealing with Apple, we'll enter Apple, right? So we're going to put it in quotations again because it's text that we're entering. So quotations with the ticker symbol Apple, comma. What's the next thing? The next thing is string segment. So we're probably not going to be dealing with segment data that much just because we don't have that much segment data loaded onto the website. The only reason we have that there right now is because it's probably going to be used more in the future when we do have that data. But for now, you're pretty much going to enter nothing here. So the way you'd enter nothing is just 2 quotation marks. So basically quotation marks, but nothing's in between them. So that's in effect entering nothing there. So nothing for string segment, and then string value name. So we wanted to get Apple's cash balance, right? Their cash balance as of their most recent filing date, the latest XBRL data, hence, get XBRL latest. So an easy way to determine what that is is if we go back to the companies list here, so I'll open the companies and I'll go back to Apple. And if we go to the details tab, once again, we go to the details tab, we'll see all this information that's kind of on the right-hand side here. There's two columns. One is the name and the other is the value. So the name is the name that you would want to enter here. So we want to get cash, so we would get that technical name that we saw when we were looking at this page here, cash and cash equivalents. It's called cash and cash equivalents at carrying value. As you do this more, you'll get more familiar with the technical names, but you can always just refer back to here to see what they are. They're generally pretty descriptive. Like, for example, interest expense is just interest expense, one word, interest income, etc. So here's cash and cash equivalents at carrying value. And we can see the XBRL latest value. So the value as of the most recent filing is $23.6 billion, right? So what we're going to do here in order to get that is, once again, in quotations, you just write cash and cash equivalents at carrying value. So I hope I spelt everything there correctly, and if I didn't, we'll find out in a sec when this doesn't work. And then we want to print the result, right? Because all this does is just basically set Apple Cash equal to whatever this value is. So we have to actually enter print what the result is. So there we go, Apple Cash. And this should be good, so I'll run this. Yeah. And then we can see here the script output is 23.6 billion. So that's correct. That's the same value that we saw before. So that's how you, in a script, pull financial data. Now I'm going to take it just one step further. Now let's say you want to pull the cash balance for, not just Apple, but for whatever ticker that the user enters of the script. And you do have the ability to basically give the user of the script more customizations rather than just simply clicking run on the script and it performing the task. You can add a bit of customization. For example, if I were to, I'll save this first, but if I were to go back to my scripts and I find the test script here. So here we can see the script we just created, which is called test. And over here, there's some parameters that we can enter to customize the script, but they're all blank. So how do we get something to actually show up here? Let's go back to the code. And the way you do it is pretty simple. You just enter 3 dashes, and then you can enter what you want. So we want the user to be able to enter a ticker. So whatever the user enters, we're going to have to assign a variable to that, right? Because they can enter any ticker symbol, right? They can enter Apple, Microsoft, whatever. So the way we do that is we want to type what we want to call that variable in the brackets of the function run here. So we'll just call this variable ticker. And then instead of Apple, because right now this Apple cash function, which we'll rename this to just cash, it's designed for just Apple. But if we replace this with the name of the variable, which is just ticker, and then we'll print what the result is. So we'll save this. And now we have to go back out here and actually enter a ticker. So now we can see the word ticker has come up in the name here. The way we do it is we just double click in the parameters and then let's enter Apple. So AAPL. And then at the bottom, we can run the script from out here as well. So then we click run, and then there's the box here, which will show us what the results are. So we can see we get the same results. Script output, which is the same cash balance that we saw before. So that's kind of a basic introduction to it. And then from here, you can kind of understand how you could take things further, right? Because you could say you wanted to do revenue, right? And then we could just copy and paste this, enter here, and then say you wanted to enter revenue, which, to keep things short, if you wanted to get revenue for the trailing 12 months, you use a function called, or a name called MM revenue TTM. So that's revenue for the trailing 12 months. And say you wanted to find what the, cash as a percentage of revenue was. So cash versus rev, we can do equals, and then cash divided by revenue. And then we want to print the results, so we just copy and paste this, put it in there, save, and then the user can enter whatever ticker they want, and then click run, and it will tell you what the cash divided by revenue is for that specific company. So you kind of get the idea, and from here you can probably extrapolate out into, all the different possibilities that this gives you and all the different financial metrics. And this is really just scratching the surface, right? This is just the most basic, application of scripting. So I hope you did find this useful. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.